There are those moments that define America. Moments of continual awareness, like the surrender of the British, the loss of great leaders to fanatical acts, and the freeing of the slaves after bitter bondage. Some moments a nation holds to, others are pushed below the surface of chosen memory. It was called the Underground Railroad, and those who dreamed of it, those who rode it, and those who choose to remember it, embrace the courage of the brave who defied law and cultural restraints to free an enslaved people. John Parker knew the bitterness of slavery. At the tender age of 8, he was sold and walked hundreds of miles, never to see his mother again.
It's almost like a William Shakespeare story in some way. There's betrayal. He's being sold by, perhaps his father, being sold into slavery, into bondage.
By the age of 18, after several failed escape attempts, Parker's sharp intellect, courage, and ferocious enterprise enabled him to buy his own freedom. Once he crossed the Ohio River, he never forgot the bondage he had survived. He risked it all to be a conductor. But perhaps none has made the dangerous journey a reality for so many.
He's this larger than life, he's this made for the movies personality, absolutely.
From the banks of the Ohio River near Ripley, Ohio, John Parker would scour for those escaping slavery, making their way north, one step closer to the next stop on the railroad to Canada, to a life free of bondage and free from bounty hunters. It was their promised land.
It's generally and rightfully believed that the Underground Railroad had its origin in Ripley. That the town deserves its reputation is shown by the fact that it is generally known throughout Kentucky as the hellhole of abolition.
In recounting his experiences as the conductor, Parker would talk about going back across the Ohio River to rescue slaves fleeing through Kentucky. Once he was there in the South, he would operate with a cat-like stealth. That's because there was a huge bounty on his head.
He had to put everything on the line every time. When he left this house, the kids might not have seen him again, his wife might not have seen him again. Going into Kentucky could have easily been kidnapped, murdered, put in prison, jail, whatever. So it was, every time he left the house, it was a risk for him.
It was a dangerous institution to be close to while it was running. Parker refused to have his picture taken even long after the Civil War was over, still fearing reprisals. He revealed his life story to an enterprising reporter years later.
The occupants of these few homes were the midnight marauders, very secretive and silent in their ways, but trustworthy and friendly to the fugitives. But the real fortress and home to the fugitives was the house of Reverend John Rankin, perched high on the hill behind the town.
This is New North Church in Hingham, Massachusetts. This is the pew where Governor John Andrews sat. He was governor of the Commonwealth during the Civil War. Up above him were reminders of northern slavery, slave galleries with men on one side, women on the other. Governor Andrews started the 54th, also known as the Glory Brigade, of freed men to fight in the Union Army.
We know he recruited for the Ohio 5th Colored Troops, and that group eventually became the United States 5th Colored Troops.
Although Governor Andrew never met John Parker, many of the men who rode the railroad traveled from Ohio to Massachusetts to be part of the 54th. The railroad connected and ran through the lives of many. John Parker is the classic American hero and entrepreneur, launching successful business ventures until late in life. And he was one of the first Black Americans to ever hold a patent. Parker should be part of our greater awareness, allowed to join the memory banks of today as one of the bold creators of a society of our better angels.
Someone who did one of the first reviews of his promised land said, usually we need to invent our American heroes. You don't have to with Parker.